Hello and welcome to another Lord of the Rings Rise to War video. I am the player who plays as the King Under the Mountain, and today I'm going to just talk about a little bit of the update from the devs in regards to equipment sets. I think this is a positive step for the game, and I think it's something that people, would kind of like. It revolves around some of the sets now. You only need 2 items from that set to trigger. There are still some sets that they obviously consider more powerful, I'm guessing, and you still need all four to do that. I'm not going to delve into the complete 4,000 word post that they put out. I'm just going to try and briefly describe which ones it is. Maybe a few situations, for example, where it might work out quite well for you if you're running certain commanders and that kind of thing. So first of all, if you're new to 2.0, if you stopped at 1.0 or whatever else it might be, instead of having sub skills on equipment now, which you used to have, whereby they were individual to the piece of equipment, it's now a set bonus. So the only way currently to get a set bonus is if you have all 4 items with the same sub effect. So in this case, it gives you plus 20 attack. The sort of changes from the next update is going to be that certain ones you only need 2 items for to actually make that set effect, but you will only get half of the value of what it was before. So, for example, agility, you got plus 10 initiative during combat, which was great for Sauron because, or Gandalf the White, to be honest, because you were trying to make him as fast as possible, so you could try and steal some buffs, for example, in regards to Sauron. You'd be trying to steal your White Councils and whatever else pre-battle. Whereas with Gandalf the White, you're trying to make sure you keep your White Council and you're trying to use initiative. So that was one of the sort of big ones. There are a lot of sets. So there is Power Overwhelming, Upkeep. I won't sort of delve into too much of the detail into them. So Agility, Sharp Blade, Thick Armour, Flay, Might, Fortitude, Law of the Arcane, Warcry, Evasive Action, Perseverance, Divide and Conquer, and everyone's favourite now, the Siege Ladder, which, to be fair, is more useful than Upkeep, but that's a different story. So, the changes are that you don't always need these 4-part sets. So before, unless you had all 4 of them in the set, the bonus wouldn't trigger. So if I just go back to my own gear, on this one with Dane, for example, during combat, I get plus 20 attack, so that actually goes up to 250 because I have all 4 items in the set. Happy days. Unfortunately, I do not have all the items in the Perseverance set, so this set will not currently trigger at all. And the irony is, I don't think it triggers under the new set either, to be perfectly frank. But that's a different story. So basically, this set won't trigger because I haven't got all 4 items. This set will trigger because I have got all 4 items. Same as on this set here, this will trigger because I've got all 4 items. And this one here will trigger because I've got all 4 items. So the proposed changes, and if I just go back to a piece of gear so you can see, I'll try and highlight which ones are now able to do this on and which ones are not. So the ones that now you can use 2 items for are Might, Law of the Arcane, wherever that's gone, which is this one here. All the Fortitude sets, to be honest. So you've got Fortitude, and you've got Fortitude of Men, Fortitude of Elves. So those are Agility. You can also now activate with a 2-part set, which is somewhere here. Everyone will be happy to know that Upkeep will now trigger with 2 off as well. Everyone will be happy to hear that one for all that excellent recovery that everyone's getting on the commanders. Siege Ladder will also be one whereby, I don't know why you do it, but you can cut this one in half also. And I think that is all of the ones. Like I say, all the Fortitude ones also do it, but yeah, the others remain the same. So Perseverance, Warcry, Flay, Sharp Blade, Thick Armour, Power Overwhelming, Evasive Action, and Divide and Conquer. So the last ones I just mentioned there, you will still need all 4 for them to trigger. The others, you only need 2 off, as I explained before, And as long as you've got 2 pieces in the set will trigger. So just to try and give you an example, if, for example, my Gandalf the White is running, let's just go into Gandalf himself. So if my Gandalf the White here is running only 2 of these items, I will get half of this effect, so it would be minus 5% reduction. If they run all 4, I will still get the minus 10% reduction. So I could potentially use another set here, which is another 2-part set, something like, I don't know, maybe I've got something like Fortitude of Dwarves on 2 pieces, but I didn't have Fortitude on the others, so if I'm using Dwarves, I'd still get 10% reduction. Maybe I want my Gandalf to do a little bit more damage, so I could potentially have something like a Lore of the Arcane set for 2 pieces and get plus 5% damage from Gandalf. I don't use my Gandalf in that way, but you could do things like that. I think the ones where it becomes quite interesting is for your damage commanders, because you kind of want them to tank as much as possible, so you kind of need defense on your damage commanders as well as damage. So with Might now being a 2-piece set for plus 5% damage, for example, I think that's now a really good option on a damage commander. So you could potentially have 2 pieces that have got Might for plus 5% damage, and you could also have 2 pieces for, say, Fortitude, which will give you 5% damage reduction, which actually is a balance. I think that'd be quite nice, and I think it'll allow some people to do some creative things with the gear. I do hope with it, and I know they haven't announced it, I do hope with it that the devs decide to give out a few hammers, because I think it will actually change some people's way of looking at the gear. I don't think would be able to do the half Might set, I don't think, because I don't think I have much Might sets at all, to be honest. Yeah, so I still wouldn't be able to do something like that, but I'm sure there'll be people who will be looking at this saying, right, I've got a Might Drums of Barad-dûr, for example, and I've got a Might Cask of Pride, and for that reason I'll run those 2 and run protection on the other 2. So I have actually got, ironically, a Might Cask of Pride. So I'd probably have to look through all my gear, to be perfectly honest, and try and work out to see if I did have another Might piece, which I could perhaps refine, which I don't think I do, to be perfectly honest, at this stage, which is a bit of a shame. But something like that set up on a damage commander could really do some good. I think there's a sort of situation thing if your Gandalf the White is high enough, for example, into sort of doing some damage and also tanking for you a little bit. You could run protection and, like, say, Lore of the Arcane. I think there'll be some options whereby you'll also run, say, half an agility set on your Gandalf the White and protection as the other half, potentially, because you'll be trying to increase his initiative. So with a piece like this, you could say plus 5 Gandalf's initiative, because he's already slightly quicker than Sauron, just to try and make sure you keep your White Council against 80% of the Saurons, for example. I think it'll lead to some very interesting combinations of builds for equipment, and I think it does help the lower spenders a little bit, because you know, people are searching for sets, and they'll search for sets for a very long period of time. Not everyone can get them straight away, so I think it'll just give a little bit more flexibility in the gear. I kind of hope I've explained that well enough. So that's kind of all I wanted to touch on in this video. I think that's an exciting update. Again, I think it's coming next week, and I also know that they've sort of postponed one update because they realised that the game was crashing too much. I think they've worked that out, so they are trying to change that as well. So there's lots of positive changes, I think, coming through the game at the moment. As for myself personally, I have been granted a top-up link by the game, so if you are spending in the game and you do spend through the website, which, to be honest, I would recommend if you're going to do it, because 9 times out of 10, 80% of different currencies, with it being, long story short, bought in dollars rather than, say, euros or pound sterling, you tend to get it at sort of 75% of the price of in-game. If you buy in dollars already, unlucky. And what happens from that is a small percentage comes to me for the purchase through it, and it will help me to produce more content, and it will help me to do some more giveaways for the channel, which I think it's important to give back to the community. So that was point 1. I'll leave the link in the description. And point 2, I'm very close to being able to become a fearless pioneer, so I just need a few more subscribers. If anyone likes the content who isn't subscribed already, please subscribe. It'd be really appreciated, and again, it'll help me to produce more content in the future. But for now, that's everything on this particular video. As always, if in doubt, always follow your nose.